Hi everybody, we're moving on to psionics. More on psionics. So for advanced D&D, the rules change slightly between Eldritch Wizardry. So you need both these books. You need the handbook to figure out if your character can be and do psionics. And then you need the Dungeon Master book to be able to actually do combat in psionics. So both. But to get started, we need to look at this. The page number is 110, if you have this. And we want to talk a little bit about the differences between this and this, because absolutely, they change things. All right, so the first difference that I picked up on was the races that could be psionic. In Eldritch Wizardry, it was humans only. Then in Advanced D&D, the way it's worded is humans, okay, and possibly dwarves and halflings. Exactly what they're getting at there, what Gary was getting at, where I don't know, but at least the official rules as written opened it up to more, if that's what you wanted to do. Of course, you know the rules. As a god of your multiverse, your world, you can do whatever you want. But per the book, that was the first thing I noticed. The next thing I didn't pick up on right away, but eventually did because I was bugging my brain, was they did some terminology definition changes. So you've got Eldritch Wizardry's way of using certain terms, and they don't necessarily line up exactly the same with AD&D. So that's something to be aware of. A good example would be psionic ability. That's the one where we rolled the percentage to see if your PC could have psionics or not, right? In AD&D, it is defined as double psionic strength. Yeah, and you don't use it to roll for abilities. That's not how you use it. So, complete kind of different thing. You do, just so you know, you do roll to find out if you can in fact have psionics. So the actual mechanic's still there, but they didn't, and it's under psionic ability, like a big heading, but they're not calling it that. It's like to see if you have the potential or something. They didn't even put it that way, which would have been, made some sort of sense. But at any rate, I figured it out. There's a change. So when you're looking at edition changes, one of the things you have to look at is, have they swapped words around, changed the meanings? Like they're still doing the same stuff, but now the terminology's been redone, the definition of the terminology. So you have to pay attention to that. Okay, so humans, dwarves, halflings. All right. What stayed the same? 3 ability scores that can help you get psionics. Intelligence, wisdom, or charisma stayed the same. Okay, good, right? What changed? Well, in Eldritch Wizardry, you needed a 15 or greater. In AD&D, you need a 16 or greater. So if you're converting characters, that's something you're going to need to do. You're going to need to up whatever the ability score was that the character was using. So if it's too low, like if you only like Gilligan, we used his charisma. We assigned him a 15 in charisma, I believe it was. So his charisma would have to go up to 16 to convert him over. And that's something you're going to have to decide as a DM, or you just keep it the same and just ignore the fact that he's got a lower score, and he still has psionics, but all new characters have to have the higher ability score. That's sort of like the ways you could do it if you don't want to retire somebody. Now, okay, remember we had to figure out the potential in EW, that psionic ability. You made that roll, right? And you need to get 91% or better. How do we do it in advanced D&D? Well, in advanced D&D, you need to roll 100%. So they up the number, but they give you modifiers, so you can lower that number. And the way the modifiers work is for every 1 point of intelligence above 16, you get a plus 2.5% modifier. So 17 would give you that. 18, that would be plus 5. Wisdom, for every 1 point above 16, you get a 1.5 plus modifier. So plus 3 would be your maximum. And charisma, you get a plus and a half. Just a half a point. Not a whole point, a half a point. For every 1 point above 16. So your maximum for a charisma at 18 would be plus 1. Makes sense, I hope, to everybody. Then you add that all, and this is your unmodified, your raw scores, your original dice roll. I have to look. I think they're a little more liberal on the dice rolls in advanced D&D. But so you add all those up. You got a fraction left. You drop it. You round down to the whole number. You don't round up. You drop all fractions. So then you go over to your 100, that plus, and you subtract that, and that gives you the actual percentage that you have to hit. So I did the math. If you had a generously rolled character that had 18 in intelligence, 18 in wisdom, and 18 in charisma, that would be a modified factor of 9, which would, altogether now, equal 91%. That is, so that the most best number you could get, lowest number to roll to get your psionics is exactly the same as it was in Eldritch Wizardry. But that's with maximum modifiers. So I hope that makes sense. That is one of the differences in creating the characters. Now we get into, and this is all on page 110 of this lovely book. So I'm going to go to 110. Now we get into another big difference. So you guys remember that like everybody automatically got the first attack mode, which was Psionic Blast in Eldritch Wizardry? That is not how they do things. There's a few other things they changed too. You've got to figure out your psionic ability for advanced D&D, which is not the same as in Eldritch Wizardry. So we're now using same words, different meaning. So kind of put Eldritch away for a sec. And again, you're going to start out with figuring out some things. So Psionic Endowed characters rolls a percentile dice, adding 1 point to the total of each unmodified point of intelligence, wisdom, and charisma score above 12. In addition, If 2 of these scores are above 16, the number of points is doubled. If all 3 scores are above 16, the number of points is quadrupled. Thus, your base score for your psionically endowed character, it can run from 0.1 to 100, and they literally show 0, 0, and explain that's 100 in the book, plus bonuses, that would be your points that they're talking about here, of 1 through 72. If any, so assuming you got bonuses in there, they are added together. The total is the psionic strength. So this is what you're going to make, okay, to figure out your ability. So first you got to do your psionic strength, which is kind of like the reverse of what we did before. We're going to do it using a completely different formula and all that stuff. So you would roll your percentile dice. Then you would add the modifiers I just went over. And do any of the multiplication depending on the scores. So somebody, and so for every point over 12, okay, you're going to get some modifiers. Everybody gets that. So, hopefully that'll bump up your score a little bit. And then, but if you have stuff that's over 16, so 17 or 18, it bumps up the modifiers that you're going to by doubling or quadrupling the points. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to people. And that will give you, add it all together, and that gives you the strength of the individual. And for attack and defense. Now, psionic ability is defined in here as double psionic strength. So, if you had 100 in psionic strength, then your psionic ability would be 200. Okay? 1/2 of psionic ability is your attack strength. 1/2 is your defense strength. So that's probably why they're doubling it, because you can run your where your points are being taken out of. Either it's your defense or attack. All right. So think about it. It makes sense. And there was some doubling over in the other one, and they talked about how you track this stuff. So we're still doing something similar, but different. Okay. All right. Now we get to, there's a little rule in here that's important. It can never change except due to brain injury, which will destroy it, or the acquisition of magical devices which artificially alter it. Okay. Use of strength points or regaining them does not alter psionic ability. All right, so that's a little important thing to understand. This is called front loading in a game. This is your max. So whatever you roll, this is as good as it's going to get. Whether your character knows that or not, up to how you guys are playing it. But this is it, unless something is done that alters that, in which case it's going to be like a device or something. Okay? Psionic powers. Psionic powers, including attack modes and defense modes, and disciplines, which are the magic-like powers. The number of each power is determined by further dice rolls. Attack defense modes are selected by choice, disciplines by random selection. This is different than Eldritch Wizardry. Remember, your attack mode was assigned to you. Boom, everybody gets that psionic blast. That's not how they do it in AD&D. In AD&D, we get out the percentile dice, we roll it. We've got a candy-dandy little chart here. And it tells you how many attack modes you are going to get. All right. And you can get anywhere from 1 to 5. Then you, the player, gets to look at the list and choose between, depending on what you rolled. Let's say you rolled 3. Okay? You rolled 3. Let's say you rolled 3. Psionic Blast, Mind Thrust, Ego Whip, Id Insinuation, and Psychic Crush. You don't build up to those. Like was kind of like Eldritch Wizardry implied or stated, you just choose. So if you rolled 3, you might go with Psychic Blast, and then Psychic Crush sounds cool. I'll do that one. And then you're like, ooh, what else? Oh, maybe Ego Whip. Okay. Now, one thing this does is it makes the characters different. That's for sure. Instead of uniformed on their attack and defense modes. And it, of course, defines what these are in here. And then it has point, cost, usage, all that, so you can see. And it may be doing that because the potential for your psychic strength to be low, unless your psychic ability total to be low, might affect which powers you're going to choose. Like, if you don't have a whole lot of psychic points there to work with, you might be wanting to go with the lower level stuff. So, because it doesn't take as many points for you to do. And then again, you might be all or nothing kind of person. So, that could be why it's done that way, thinking about it. Now, defense modes, you do the same thing. You roll percentile dice. And the difference is, though, you can get, at the low end, you can get 2 defense modes. And at the high end, you can get 5. So it's 2, 3, 4, and 5. So they give you an extra defense mode if you end up rolling low, all right, on your percentile dice. And again, they explain what they are and area protected and the cost points and all that. So that's how you do that part. Then you get into picking your disciplines. The psionically endowed character determines how many discipline he or she is able to exercise by use of the following table. 1 roll of percentile dice. So again, we have a table. Again, it's 1 through 100. What you would roll at the low end, you have 1 minor, 0 major. That's kind of how it's laid out. Then it's 2 minor, 0 major, 3 minor, 0 major, 2 minor, 1 major, 3 minor, 1 major, 4 minor, 1 major. Kind of see how the forms go in here. Then it's 3 minor, 2 major, 5 minor, 1 major. So it's a little bit of surprise there. And 4 minor, 2 major. So rules is written. And then, the percentages, it varies a little bit, too. It's not like everything's exactly the same going. So you need the chart, okay? But understanding what you're doing, this should make sense. Once the number of disciplines possessed is known, the character determines by random die rolling which discipline he or she knows. If the same one is indicated a second time, simply re-roll until a different one is indicated. Only a few are excluded to certain classes. Only 1 discipline minor can immediately be gained. With 1 additional discipline, all minors first gained with acquisition of each 2 additional levels of experience in the character's profession. Note that the employment of these powers cost psionic strength points, the equivalent of 1 point each of attack and defense points. So they're telling you how the points are used for when you use the abilities. You have to take out of both point things, whereas for the attack and defense, you're only going to take them out of, if you're the attack column, and only out of the defense column, depending on what you're doing. And you're going to spend, though, in this case, what the book says you're spending. So there's no more of that weird math that you did over in Eldritch Wizardry. Okay. So you're going to roll this stuff, but you're only going to be able to use one of the minor disciplines. And then you get to, so like, again, this is front loading. Though I'm guessing a DM could note, like you could note that you rolled this. As the DM, there's two ways to do this. You can front load it all, but the player only gets to use the first minor discipline that they rolled. But they will develop all the other stuff down the road, according to the rules, that they get. Each new ability kicks in every 2 additional levels of experience in the character's profession. Or, okay, you note that they rolled what they rolled and they got what they got. Let's say they got 4 minors and 1 major. All right. You allow them to roll for their first minor. Then they're not going to know what else is going to develop in them. So every 2 levels, then they roll again. Though generally I have heard what people normally did was front load everything and then just wait for those levels to be achieved, and then boom, that's activated. Well, you could do it either way, really. So that's something to think about. And then we have a list of abilities, of course, and the disciplines. And then we have and then it goes into what these are, and descriptions, who can use them, and so forth. So the next one, we should look at combat. So I hope this is making sense to people. This is actually less math than the other one. So I think they've tried to simplify it a little bit. So look forward to the next episode of Psionics, where we take a look at the differences in the combat systems. I looked at the charts already. They're very similar charts. In theory, I think, yeah, you could really probably get away with these 2 books, at least to get you started, knowing that there's charts that you need to use. But I'm going to take a careful look at the charts and see if there's any major differences in the charts, and then we'll go from there. We'll just keep chugging through and taking a look at this. But yes, this is just another kind of magic. In this case, we're spending points, though. Everybody, and we also have to talk about how you regain your points. That's probably in the combat section of the DM. And whether you can operate multiple things at once. I think you can. So we will look at all of that. Next episode, we'll get cracking on that and see how many episodes we need. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you're finding this interesting, if it's helping, or if it's making it more confusing, and your thoughts, because we got a lot of stuff to cover for Psionics. Because we still got to get to, hey, what if we want to do something really dramatic on how the character gets psionics, or how society deals with it, all those good things that go into role playing. So we got to do that too. So everybody, have a great day. Peace out. Keep on rolling the dice and rocking your roll. Bye.